Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee, powered by Flurry Sports. It can be tough to win a fantasy league on your own, but at FFBC, we will work together to bring home the hardware. Hosted by Zach Bruner and the rest of the Flurry Sports crew, we will give top-level analysis, answer your questions, and, well, go off on other tangents.
That was after I tried to get ChatGPT to admit that 9/11 was an inside job, but it stood firm. It gave quite a few solid points that it was true.
Welcome to Fantasy Football by Committee. The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
The 10 most trending players on Sleeper Fantasy over the past 24 hours. So these are the most added players over the past 24 hours. There are, believe it or not, quite a few leagues that have like no waiver wait time, nothing like that. So, you know, some of these names might be surprising, but there are people who are able to add these players immediately. So the number one most trending player, and it will probably stay this way once more people are able to put waiver wire claims in, I think. But the number one waiver wire ad is Emari Demercado, running back for the Arizona Cardinals, an old rookie. I believe he's 24 years old. Let me check that. Yeah, 24 out of TCU. So maybe that's why you may know his name if you watched college football last year. But yeah, he stepped in for the injured James Conner. We've been talking for months at this point how James Conner was going to be such a good sell high candidate after the first month of the season, and that you needed to pay attention to his backup. What happened after 4 weeks? James Conner goes down hurt. We don't know the severity of it yet. I don't expect it to be incredibly serious. I hope not, at least. But he did leave the game with a knee injury. Initially, entering the year, it seemed like his backup was going to be Keontae Ingram. Ingram has been battling injuries himself, so it's been Demercado who's been the backup there. Obviously, James Conner was the bell cow. We knew James Conner being a bell cow would lead to him getting injured. It did so. Demercado comes in last week, played 77% of the snaps, had 10 carries for 45 yards and a touchdown, saw 3 targets as well. And next week, it's not the greatest matchup by any stretch of the imagination, but he plays the Rams. If James Conner misses, seems like there's a decent chance of that, then Demercado may be the bell cow. I wouldn't be surprised to see another running back sign there, but Ingram may not be healthy, so maybe Demercado and, I don't know, is Corey Clement still there? It's pretty much nothing. And if you have a running back who's going to see the bulk of the snaps, the bulk of the touches, that's valuable, especially as bye weeks pick up. So number one most trending player being Demercado makes sense. And I wouldn't go crazy with Fab or anything with him. But if you're in need of a bye week fill-in, if you're in need of depth after all of these injuries and shit, like you can definitely go and pick him up. Cardinals just claimed Tony Jones off waivers. That's interesting. Tony Jones isn't, especially because, you know, his name is just very bland. He's not a guy who's going to excite you, but I assume James Conner's out, and I assume Tony Jones sees maybe half of the running back work, truthfully. I think he's a relatively talented guy. So we just talked about Demercado as the number one most trending player on Sleeper, and the Cardinals signed Tony Jones. I'm not spending a ton of fab on Demercado. I'll tell you that much. Tony Jones might be younger than Demercado. Let me look really quick. That actually might be a fun fact here. No, 1 year older. Tony Jones, third year in the NFL, 1 year older than the rookie Demercado. Week 2, Tony Jones, half the snaps, scored 2 touchdowns for the Saints. He's an ad for sure, by the way. Again, I'm not going crazy with either player for fab, but like I said, when the Jerome Ford situation happened and people thought it was a terrible take, at that point, people were freaking out about Jerome Ford, and I said I would much rather spend 2% of my fab on Kareem Hunt than 50+% on Jerome Ford. I don't think anyone's spending 50+% of their fab on Demercado. I hope not. But I would much rather spend 2% or 1% on Tony Jones than even 10% maybe on Demercado. So maybe that'll tell you what I think of those two guys.